Electricity has become so essential to daily life that a world without it is almost inconceivable. Electricity lights and heats our houses, keeps our freezers cold, our computers running, and charges your phone so you can spend 6 hours doom scrolling every night. However, electricity does not magically appear out of nowhere. It has to be generated by energy, whether that be heat, movement, dying atoms, or the beams of the sun. Generating electricity in Australia has traditionally been done by burning fossil fuels. The thing about fossil fuels is that they produce greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which, as we all know, is completely fucking over the entire planet. But there are other ways of generating electricity that conservative podcast bros call inefficient or ineffective. I am here to prove them wrong by comparing all the most common ways of generating electricity to each other in the only way Gen Z knows how, in a tier list. But what criteria are you judging each way of generating electrical power by, I hear you ask? I'm taking into account efficiency. How much of the resource used is actually converted into electricity? Environmental impact. Is it destroying natural habitats or releasing carbon dioxide? Money. This is probably the least important factor as governments are loaded. And finally, how much electricity does it actually produce? If something is cheap and safe for the environment but barely gives any actual power, then it's useless. Also, make sure to remember that everything I say in this video is true and based on facts from MIT and our world in data. And if you disagree with me, then you're wrong and you can go cry about it. One of the most common forms of power on Earth has recently come under fire for destroying the fucking ozone layer, which is important because the ozone layer protects us from the sun's lethal radiation. Coal is one of the primary reasons for climate change, with 15.4 billion tons of carbon dioxide being released from burning coal a year. The Trumpeter Patriots have done it. They've officially obliterated life as we know it. Congratulations, Clive Palmer. In 2023, coal made up a whopping 26% of the total energy production on Earth, and while that number is slowly declining, coal is still dominating the global market. Coal-fired power plants have a global average efficiency of around 34%. This means that for any amount of coal burned, about 34% is converted into usable electricity. The remaining energy is lost as heat and other forms of waste. While this number sounds fun enough, it means that 66% of the coal used for electricity is pumped straight into the atmosphere as CO2, without even providing anything useful. Okay, so coal isn't efficient. It's terrible for the environment, and it's one of the most used energy sources in the world. Oh, and we only have about 133 years left of the stuff. It has a shorter life expectancy than David Attenborough. Coal is bad in every possible way. The easiest F tier of my life.
I did not shit my pants at an Engadine Macca's in 1997. I don't know where this has come from, but stop it.
Oil is many things. It's what people who play League of Legends fail to wash out of their hair. It's what I use to make my pasta sauce taste better. It's what swathes of rainforest are being chopped down in Indonesia for, and it's why US forces killed thousands in Iraq. It's also a useful tool in generating electrical power. It makes up about 31% of all electricity generated and tastes awful. Oil is a fossil fuel, same as coal, meaning it's pulling a Jeffrey Dahmer and eating this planet alive. But how does oil compare to coal? It's a little bit better, I guess. It's slightly more efficient, with 38% of it being successfully converted to electricity. Not only that, but all known oil deposits will be depleted by 2052, meaning there is still a chance for this planet if the oil CEOs don't find a way to bring it back to life. But before I place this Resident Evil looking liquid in F tier, let's hear a poem prepared by the Trump administration in favor of oil to see if it can change my mind. O liquid gold that fuels my heart's desire, your gleaming depths reflect the sun's own flame. From ancient earth you rise to lift the pyre, a fiery spark forever to proclaim. In whispered winds your scent forever clings, a richness deep like velvet in the night. You shape the world with steady hands you bring, the warmth of life through engine's gentle bite. Yet in your touch a soft and silent plea, a tug of love as ocean kisses the shore. You feed the flames but bring both pain and glee, a dance of joy and grief forevermore. O oil in you, both passion and decay, you guide our fate and steal our breath away. Wow, that was beautiful. Ode to Oil by J.D. Vance. I'm still putting oil in F tier because it isn't very efficient and it's awful for the environment, but it's above coal.
I'm jaking it. Oh, so good.
There's not much to say about natural gas's environmental impact that I haven't mentioned in the last two segments. However, my great-great-grandpa blew up in a mine gas explosion, which is just about the most interesting fact about it. However, gas has the advantage on the other two fossil fuels because it can be up to 43% efficient, meaning it's actually providing something to society. Out of the fossil fuels, gas is definitely the best for the environment and produces less than half the emissions than coal and oil. Despite the fact that it is better than the other fossil fuels, it is still high-key evil and causing the 5th mass extinction, which I think is mad cringe. Because of all this, gas gets a low C tier.
Shadow Wizard Money Gang. We love casting spells.
Solar energy isn't used in massive power plants. It mostly takes its talents to individual homes or businesses that have solar panels on the roof. Solar energy is really useful for homeowners, giving basically free power to the house, especially with the rise of solar batteries, allowing the renewable energy to be used at night as well. Despite how useful solar energy is to the average Joe, it isn't a solution capable of running the electricity for the whole world, especially things like skyscrapers, factories, or large-scale businesses. Solar is also only 12% efficient, meaning that 88% of the sun that hits the panel bounces right back off. If those nerds over in Harvard figure out how to make the panels absorb more of the sun's energy, then it'll be a much more space and energy efficient solution. There's also another problem. Solar panels take up so much space that if we want them to be truly renewable, they have to be built on already cleared land or in deserts. Solar is not going to save us from climate change, but it is really good for the environment and is a great energy source for houses. I'm going to give solar an A tier. Nuclear energy is by far the most controversial way of producing electricity among us woke liberals. Some of us say it's the perfect solution, better than any renewable energy or fossil fuel. Others say we are dooming thousands of our descendants with the amount of nuclear waste we leave behind. I land somewhere in between. I agree that nuclear power is a great way of producing large amounts of electricity quickly without destroying the ozone layer. But the more nuclear plants we create, the more waste we make that we have to get rid of somehow. I think that in Australia, Peter Dutton has made nuclear leave a bad taste in our mouths with his $600 billion nuclear scheme. When it comes to the waste from nuclear power, there are two options in my eyes. One is to bury it deep in abandoned mine shafts and then collapse the tunnels and leave warning signs in every known language. Or two, send it to space where it can't do anything but slowly die. Both of these solutions are honestly pretty optimistic, as nuclear waste's half-life is 10,000 years. It's likely some idiots will try and ignore the signs and dig up the waste. And I hope I don't need to explain why sending the waste to space is optimistic. Nuclear energy is 33 to 37% efficient, which is about the same as fossil fuels, so there's a lot against it, but nuclear power is just so damn effective, and has no immediate environmental cost. But it's not a great long-term solution, and renewable energy is probably better, but nuclear is pretty damn good. Wind is the OG renewable energy. It's been going hard since the dawn of windmills and is one of the best forms of power in my opinion. Wind farms can take up little to no room and can be built pretty much anywhere, even off the coasts where bogans can't complain about how ugly and loud they are. The main obstacle that wind farms face are landowners refusing to have them built on their land, even when the government offers them money to do it. It's extremely selfish and petty, and if I talk about it anymore, I may actually pop a blood vessel in my head. Australia is the perfect vessel for wind farms, with over 90% of the country being a hellish red desert, which is prime grounds for wind farms to do their thing. Another obstacle that wind turbines face is the myth that their spinning blades kill birds. And while this is technically true, a study conducted by MIT shows that wind turbines only kill 0.269 birds per gigawatt hour of electricity produced, compared to 5.18 birds killed per gigawatt hour of electricity from fossil fuel projects. I know that sounds like big nerd numbers, but it means that fossil fuels kill almost 20 times the amount of birds per year as wind farms do. Wind farms can also be up to 50% efficient. They really are great. I think it's time to seriously consider wind power for the GOAT discussion. Wind farms aren't perfect, but they are by far the best source of power we've looked at so far. S tier. Hydropower is my favourite way of generating electricity for a couple of reasons. Namely, it doesn't require a sunny or windy day, and it's 98% efficient. My home state of Tasmania runs almost entirely off of hydropower, from only a few dams with energy to spare, being one of the few places on Earth that is carbon negative. A large dam can produce 3,000 megawatts per hour, which isn't an insane amount, but consider that the average house uses 1 kilowatt of electricity per hour, meaning a single dam can produce enough electricity to power 3 million homes. The largest hydroelectric dam in the world produces 22,500 megawatts an hour, which is almost enough to power the houses of everyone in Australia. This isn't to ignore the flaws in hydroelectric power. To start, even though the energy production is consistent, you'd still need a lake to build a dam. There are also environmental impacts, such as the destruction of river ecosystems and blocking fish migration routes. There are also flood risks and heavy rains and natural disasters. Like every other energy generation system, it's not perfect, and is much worse for the environment than many other renewable energies. However, it is far more energy efficient and effective, making it a more reasonable short-term goal. There's also a relatively new subgenre of hydroelectricity called wave power. That removes most of the environmental flaws that come with the more traditional hydropower plants by being placed in the rough areas of the sea. Wave power is still quite new, but it shows a lot of potential, and I'm hoping that one of these days it'll be able to overtake its older brother at the top of S tier. Well, that's my tier list. I don't know if this is the general public consensus or not, but since my word is gospel, it should quickly become the new public opinion. Anyway, the conclusion to my research is that if we cover every roof with solar panels, every desert and farm with wind farms, every coastline with wave power plants, and every lake with dams, then climate change will be solved.